There is a growing mystery tonight about the identity of a young girl. Her body found 2 weeks ago on a small patch of land in Boston Harbor.
One of the most horrific crimes in Massachusetts history.
Investigators are chasing hundreds of leads. In this case in particular, it was tremendously difficult. There were no witnesses. There was no crime scene.
On the afternoon of June 25, 2015, a woman walking her dog along the shoreline of Deer Island near Boston, Massachusetts, stumbled upon a plastic bag. She dismissed it as discarded trash, but her dog's persistent interest led her to a horrific discovery: the lifeless body of a child. Shocked and frightened, she immediately reported it to the authorities.
Called 911 because I just found a dead baby on the beach.
Despite the authorities' best efforts, the baby doe's identity remained elusive due to the severe stage of decomposition. However, it took 3 months to identify the child. Now, who in their right minds would end up doing such a crime? The investigation into the child's death began immediately after her body was found on Deer Island. Despite the severe decomposition, authorities worked tirelessly to identify the child.
This is a small unit, and everybody in that homicide unit has children. And everybody took this personal, everybody took this home.
She was discovered wearing only a pair of white leggings with a black polka dot pattern, along with a zebra print blanket inside the bag. Initial uncertainty led to unsuccessful attempts when cadaver dogs were used to locate any additional bodies or remains. Decomposition of the body had already begun, making visual identification impossible, and long exposure to water prevented fingerprint collection.
I don't think I'll ever fully understand how a child that age could go missing for so long without anyone, asking where she is.
Investigators couldn't determine the child's race or ethnicity. It was unclear how her remains ended up at the location. There were doubts whether the body had been placed on the beach or drifted in the water from another location, potentially as far away as Canada. Authorities believed that the victim had been placed at the scene rather than washing ashore from another location, as the body was not sufficiently decomposed. Following the discovery of the child's body, an autopsy was conducted on July 3, 2015, but it did not conclude what had caused her death. While authorities suspected foul play, no signs of obvious injury were found on the remains. Subsequent tests were conducted to detect any toxins, drugs, or alcohol as a possible explanation for the death. The child was eventually determined to be of Hispanic ancestry. Her hair was described as brown, wavy, and 14 inches in length, suggesting it had been left untrimmed for a while. She was estimated to be between 3'1" and 3'6" tall and weighed around 30 pounds. No distinct birthmarks or scars were found on her body. Her clothing, estimated to be of size 4T, was identified as manufactured by the Serco Company, possibly sold at Target, while the blanket was suspected to be from Cannon Mills, potentially sold at Kmart, along with the discovery of an elastic hairband. Despite her unidentified status, she appeared to have been well cared for during her life, with no signs of malnutrition noted. To aid in her identification, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children digitally reconstructed the child's face after previous attempts to identify the body failed. The reconstruction was created using Adobe Photoshop, incorporating mortuary and stock photographs to estimate her appearance when alive. Flyers containing images of the child and her belongings were distributed in hopes of obtaining more information. The child's details were entered into the National Missing and Unidentified Person System, NamUs, on July 4, 2015, and details of her discovery and physical estimations were included. Over 200 missing persons were ruled out from the case, but no matches were achieved. Despite extensive efforts, no one came forward to claim responsibility for the crime or to identify the victim.
In the National Center, we've been able to get about 54 million views of this little girl, and I'm still amazed that nobody's come forward. But social media will help solve this because the pictures are what get people to call.
Now, forensic testing played a crucial role in the investigation of Deer Island baby doe's case. DNA samples were obtained from the body's hair and tooth, but they did not match any profiles stored in databases of known missing persons. Additional samples were sent to the University of North Texas for more specific profiling. Although this process was time-consuming, it was determined that she may have also spent time in any of the 6 New England states, and possibly others. The hair and enamel test indicated that she could have traveled across the country. Television host John Walsh provided insights into the case during an interview, urging viewers with information to come forward.
People out there, somebody knows who this little girl is. If you're not comfortable in calling the police, call me.
Despite numerous tips received by authorities, many leads did not yield significant results. A 24-hour hotline and text hotline were established for individuals to provide information anonymously, resulting in submissions from across the United States and beyond. After 3 long months of tireless search, on September 18, 2015, the child was identified as Bella Neveah Amoroso Bond. She was born to Joe Amoroso and Rochelle Bond on August 6, 2012. Bella was identified after a neighbor of Rochelle Bond reported a link between her and the baby doe. Laura Sprinsky, sister of Rochelle's neighbor Michael Sprinsky, was concerned about Bella's continued absence from the household.
And then I said to him, "Did you see the pictures of the missing girl? Does it look like her?" And then he said, "That's her, man. I'm 99% sure." And then he wrote, "Dead serious. I'm crying. That's how serious, Laura."
As soon as I seen that, everything that was going on, it all hit me at once.
So she confronted Rochelle and her boyfriend, Michael McCarthy, who claimed Bella had been taken away by the Department of Children and Families. However, this was later disproved. Suspecting that baby doe was Bella, the neighbor's sister contacted authorities. On September 17, 2015, a search warrant was executed at Rochelle Bond's home in Dorchester, Massachusetts. Bella's biological father, Joe Amoroso, had never met her but had spoken to her on the phone. Amoroso expressed disbelief that Rochelle could have been involved and speculated that she may have been sedated with heroin by her boyfriend. However, Bella's paternal grandmother believed Rochelle was heavily involved in Bella's death and questioned the truthfulness of Rochelle. So to know more about what had happened, detectives had to go deep into Rochelle and Michael's past, even as far back as November 2011, when Bella was conceived. Her mother, Rochelle, was neck-deep in heroin addiction. She was heavily involved in the local drug scene, resorting to illegal ways to fund her addiction. Despite the hardships, Rochelle had a partner, Joe Amoroso, who was also struggling with addiction. Their relationship soured when Joe discovered Rochelle had been unfaithful. He disappeared before Bella's birth, never meeting his daughter. Rochelle, who had previously lost custody of her other children due to her addiction, was determined to keep Bella. On August 6, 2012, Bella was born at Boston Medical Center. Seeing her daughter for the first time strengthened Rochelle's resolve to be a responsible mother. But despite her efforts, reports of neglect surfaced. She secured an apartment in nearby Dorchester and attempted to provide a stable environment for Bella. Despite her love for Bella, Rochelle struggled with her addiction, and old patterns occasionally resurfaced. Reports of carelessness continued, reflecting Rochelle's ongoing battle with heroin addiction and its impact on her ability to care for Bella. As months passed, the Massachusetts Department of Children and Families contacted Rochelle in 2012 and 2013 due to concerns about the household situation. Feeling the strain of single parenthood, Rochelle stayed in contact with Joe over the phone. Even though he reconnected with the family, he never returned to see Bella in person. Meanwhile, Rochelle wanted a partner and began dating Michael McCarthy in January 2015. At first, everything seemed normal, but soon Michael's behavior started to turn erratic. Obsessed with supernatural topics, he lived with Rochelle and Bella, and their relationship quickly spiraled downwards as they both succumbed to drug addiction. Reports to the police about the abuses yielded no action, and the situation persisted. The reason no one noticed Bella's absence was because Rochelle had been lying to them. She falsely claimed that Bella had been taken away by the Department of Children and Families after a visit to their home, citing the situation as too challenging. Given the circumstances, people believed Rochelle's story without having any doubts. With all the suspicion and false assertions from Rochelle regarding the child's removal by the DCF, the investigators obtained a search warrant and questioned Rochelle and Michael. Rochelle eventually confessed to the horrifying events of the fateful night. According to her account, Michael had burst into a rage, repeatedly breaking into attacks, believing the child to be possessed.
Punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying in the bed. I grabbed her. And she wasn't breathing.
When Bella became unconscious, Rochelle attempted CPR, but Michael threatened her and disposed of the body at the harbor. This confirmed the suspicion of investigators who had long suspected foul play in Bella's case. However, Rochelle's involvement raised questions about her capability. Some discrepancies, such as listing Bella as alive on a benefits form, led to speculation about her motives and level of involvement. So Michelle and Michael were arrested on September 18, 2015. Medical evidence suggested that Bella's death may have been caused by the severe abdominal trauma. Dr. Henry M. Niels, the chief medical examiner, proposed that this trauma could have led to asphyxiation or cardiac arrest. Despite these findings, Michael denied any knowledge of Bella's death upon his arrest.
So you had no interaction with the child, or something didn't happen to the child that could have caused harm to that child?
I mean, I had interaction with the child, yeah, but like nothing that would have caused harm to her.
No?
Like playing with her, talking with her, being around the house when she was around there, going out with the dog, taking her to the park, things like that.
Why would Rochelle tell us that you hit the child? Hit Bella?
I can tell you.
No?
No. And I don't think Rochelle would let someone stay around that was
did you
hitting her child.
Did she ever hit the child?
Not that I saw, no. That's why I was kind of surprised when she even said, someone said they saw her spank her on the bum. I was even kind of surprised at that.
Listen, Mike, now's your chance to get out from under whatever you're under and come clean and tell us what happened and let us figure this out. Because if you just sit here and blow smoke up my ass and lie and lie and lie and lie, you're just digging yourself in a bigger hole.
I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass. If you're saying, I might look nervous, maybe it's because I'm about to go into a major surgery in an hour.
No, like I said, I'm talking to you.
You couldn't have caught me at a worse time.
It's okay.
Like,
you're doing great. I'm telling you right now, you're doing great. The whole interview was going great until I sort of confront you with some things that I don't believe aren't truth. So again, something happened to the little girl. Okay, you don't know Bella's dead.
No.
Really?
No.
Huh? She's not?
Not to my knowledge.
Are you sure?
Positive.
You didn't drive over to East Boston?
As the trials of Rochelle Bond and Michael McCarthy unfolded in June 2017, each presented their own version of events. Michael attempted to shift the blame onto Rochelle, portraying her as a neglectful and drug-addicted mother.
I never harmed a hair on her head. She was a beautiful, happy, healthy little girl.
Meanwhile, Rochelle maintained her innocence regarding the crime, but admitted to helping dispose of the body under duress from Michael. She also faced charges for welfare fraud, and she continued to claim benefits for Bella, even after the demise. During Rochelle's trial, the court leaned toward believing her story.
With no other witnesses, prosecutors offered Bond a plea deal. In exchange for less than 3 years in prison and probation, she would testify against McCarthy.
But she still faced serious charges. The evidence against Michael seemed stronger, with cadaver dogs indicating the presence of a body in the McCarthy household, and bruises on the body consistent with Rochelle's account.
And what did you see when you stepped in?
He had punched her in the stomach.
Where was she?
Laying in the bed.
However, there was no direct evidence linking Michael to Bella's death. Michael's defense argued that he was not even aware Bella was missing, as Rochelle had allegedly told him she was taken away by the state's child welfare agency. The trials revealed a complex web of deception, abuse, and addiction within Bella's family. Meanwhile, Michael Sprinsky's role as a key witness underscored the emotional toll involved in seeking justice for Bella.
When the jury went out, he and Laura waited every day for the verdict.
Michael McCarthy is guilty of murder in the second degree.
Finally, when it happened, I just broke down.
The aftermath of Bella Bond's tragic end saw Michael McCarthy convicted for second-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison on June 28, 2017, with the possibility of parole in 20 years. Rochelle eventually pleaded guilty and received a much lighter sentence of probation. However, questions arose about the Department of Children and Families' handling of Bella's case, with investigations revealing serious errors and misconduct. Bella's biological father, Joe Amoroso, delivered a victim impact statement before McCarthy's sentencing, expressing profound grief over the loss of his daughter.
I wasn't ready to be a father a couple years ago, but I was ready, and I am ready now, and unfortunately, I just came a couple months too late.
Despite never having met Bella, Joe emphasized the significance of her life and lamented being deprived of the opportunity to be a father to her. Apart from these, an investigation by the Office of the Child Advocate revealed serious errors within the child welfare system. The agency issued only a formal written warning to the worker responsible for the misconduct. Bella Bond's case sparked a significant level of national interest with engagement on Twitter and Facebook. Various individuals offered to cover the expenses for the funeral and burial, while a funeral home pledged resources for a proper burial with a headstone. Joe Amoroso revealed plans to bury Bella in Winthrop, Massachusetts, surrounded by family, opting for public funeral and wake services. However, Bella was finally laid to rest on November 28, 2015, at Winthrop Cemetery in a private ceremony. As both her parents eventually agreed not to make the ceremony public, she was buried under a headstone bearing her name and the date of her discovery. Images of Bella were later released on her mother's Facebook page. As we wrap up Bella's story, it's clear her parents' neglect led to her tragic death. Michael McCarthy and Rochelle Bond's actions were monstrous, both in and out of prison, and Bella's story highlights the need to protect vulnerable children better.